Hello, everybody. It's 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. Got a full agenda today. We'll go ahead and call this, what is September 2025 TPO Technical Committee to order. I would like to, looks like we have a quorum, so we're good there. Just do some brief introductions. So we'll start here at Mike.
All right. Mike Conger, TPO staff.
Jonah Bird, TPO staff.
Laura Smith, East Tennessee Development District.
Dallas DeArmond, Knoxville, Knox County Planning staff.
James Temple, Sevier County Planning Director.
Brian Boone, City of Maryville Engineering and Public Works.
Jack Wall, City of Loudoun County.
Chico Messer, Blount County.
Daryl Smith, Town of Farragut.
Doug Burton, TPO Coordinator.
Jim Snowden, Knox County Engineering and Public Works.
I'm Tom Clabo with City of Knoxville Engineering.
Dakota Gentry, City of Alcoa.
Catherine Baldwin, Anderson County.
Blake Sarton, Metro Knoxville Airport Authority.
Troy Ebert, TDOT.
Roger Flynn, City of Oak Ridge.
Danielle Meyer, sitting in for Deanna Flincham, Knoxville Commuter Pool, Tennessee Vans.
Thank you, everyone, for attendance today. I think we do have some folks on Zoom. Is that correct, Dallas?
We have Anne Marie, Tina Whitaker, and Mary Connolly are joining us on Zoom.
Thank you. And we do have, Doug has advised me, we do have an addition to the agenda, which will be number 8 under the TDOT updates, and there we'll do a presentation on the long-range plan. So any other amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 2 is the approval of the minutes from the July 8th, 2025 Technical Committee. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review those. Any questions regarding those? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved. Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. It's approved. Item number 3 is the FTA Urban Area Transit Program of Projects. This item will require a motion, and the presenter is Mr. Burton.
All right, thank you very much. This is the funding that we get every year. It's annually from the Federal Transit Administration. It comes to our area based on our urban area. For federal fiscal year, which starts October 1 and goes through September 30th. And this is actually money that started October 1 of 24. As you know, Congress is always late passing their budget, so we're just now getting this funding. But for federal fiscal year, for the 5307 funding, we got $8.9 million. It was an increase over the last year of about $174,000. And this can be used for both capital and operating. The City of Knoxville is the technical designated recipient of these funds. They've been the designated recipient since the mid-'70s. And CAC and ETHRA are also eligible recipients. They became eligible around 2012. Next slide, please. All the agencies had got together about a decade ago and agreed to a way to divide the funding based on a set percentage. So as you can see in the slide, 79.8% goes to CAT, 14.9% goes to CAC, and 5.3% goes to ETHRA. And you can roughly see what that works out to for federal fiscal 25, about $7.1 million to CAT, 1.3 to CAC, and $472,000 to ETHRA. They have to break this money. It's a requirement of FTA into categories, and these are supplied by FTA. And there's an attachment in your packet that shows how much money goes to each of these categories. I wasn't going to force you guys to walk all the way through that, but CAT is generally going to use their money for maintenance, ADA paratransit service, some renovation on their maintenance facilities, some computer software and safety and security. CAC is using theirs for operating, job access operating, that's a service focused on getting people to work, maintenance, safety and security, and ETHRA is the same as CAC, operating, job access, maintenance and safety and security. There's a second amount of funding that comes to our area. It's called 5339 Bus and Bus Facilities Funding. This amount of money for federal fiscal year 25 was $756,000. It was an increase of about $25,000. And this can be used for capital, purchasing vehicles, equipment, and construction. But once again, the city of Knoxville is the designated recipient, but this funding can only go to fixed route service providers. So since CAT is the only fixed route service provider in our area, all of that funding goes to the city of Knoxville CAT. Once again, next slide. They have to break it out into categories, and so they're going to be using this funding to buy replacement service van, purchase bus stop shelters and signage, acquire shop equipment, miscellaneous support equipment, and their mobile fare collection and some support vehicles. Joan is going to go over the very specific allocations to this, but at a very high level, the 5310 funding comes to help fund programs for our seniors and individuals with disabilities. This is the program that the TPO was managing, and then we moved it to CAC to now be the designated recipient. But for the federal fiscal year, we got 837,858, and we actually had a small decrease of about 6,000 in this. And like I said, it has to be used for seniors, or programs for seniors or people who are disabled. They do have a very specific requirement on how the funding has to be used. 55% has to be used for capital, 35% for operating, and 10% for administration. And you have to either be a nonprofit or a human service provider to be eligible for this funding. So like I said, Jonah will go over, we took applications, and we have some specific recommendations. He'll do that in the next agenda item. The final thing is the federal FTA does require us to have a public hearing on this. It is allowed to be incorporated into the executive board meeting. We just have to advertise it, and we have to provide the public an opportunity to comment on how the different agencies are going to use their funding. So we are being broadcast on the community television. So if anyone wants to see a copy of this, they can go to the TPO website at www.knoxtpo.org, or they can contact me, and I'll just give my phone number, 865-215-3824. And if they want to provide any direct comment, they have to get it to us a day before the executive board, which would be by 4 o'clock Tuesday, September 23rd, or they're always welcome to come. The executive board is a public meeting. They can come and provide comment. Believe it or not, I've actually had people call me, so it does get out there. And so, so just let the public know that that's how they can contact us. That's all I have on this. I can take any questions, but as Jim said, we do need a motion to recommend this to the executive board.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Second.
A motion and second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. That item's approved. As Doug mentioned, item number 4 is the Section 5310 Program of Projects, and Mr. Jonah Bird will present that.
All right, morning. So Doug already covered some of the highlights, so I'll just go through this quickly. Again, this is for enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities. In the past, TPO has been the designated recipient, but it will be CAC this year, and we are just assisting with administration. So we held a call for projects in June, posted that online, we advertised in the newspapers, and mentioned it at a few of these meetings previously. And we also maintain a database of interested agencies. So again, that operating breaks out to about 35% of the overall funding. We had 3 agencies apply for operating funds. That was CAC, ETHRA, and the CAA Smiles program. So from the FTA, we're getting 181,000, 217,000, and then 186,000. And for each of these, they're just looking for 2 years of service funding. So that'll be 580,000 in total FTA funds for operating. For capital, we had, how many is that? That is 6, or I suppose it's 5 agencies, but 6 items. Sertoma, Emory Valley Center, Sunshine Industries, Community Options, and CAC. Each of these are looking for 2 to 3 accessible vans. You can see Sunshine is just getting the 1 accessible van with one non-accessible. And then CAC is also looking for funding for mobility management. That's 2 years of service. And that will total to 918,000 in FTA funds. And I guess one thing I should mention is the matching on this funding. It's 25% from TPOt, 25% local. and that goes for both operating and capital. So in total, we're looking at about 1.7 million roughly in federal funding, and that will go up to 2.5 million when it's matched. We also recommend that 10% of administration be awarded to CAC. One note on the TPOt matching, like I said, they typically provide half of the local match, but they don't actually commit that until FTA approves the grant. So applicants are committed to providing the full match until TPOt can step in and provide that other half. So. Any questions or comments?
I did have one additional thing. The last round, we did fund Sevier County Live It. They are a volunteer program, kind of like the CAC in the Blount County Smiles. They're headquartered in the Seymour area. And if you will remember, when the new 2020 census came out, it was official in 2024, our area shrunk. So Seymour is not technically in our urban area. Now, there's a quirk that the Federal Highway Administration actually gives the Seymour area some federal funding, but FTA, it's more black and white. If you're not an urban area of 50,000 or more, they consider those areas rural. So we were not, they're no longer eligible to get funding through us. The good news is TPOt has a similar program for rural areas, so we can direct them to TPOt for funding. But I did want to make you aware that they did apply, and unfortunately, we were not going to be able to fund them due to that change in boundary. But otherwise, everyone else was able to be funded.
So everyone that did ask for something was able to get some funding. Maybe not exactly what they wanted, but they were able to get some portion.
They pretty much got everything that they wanted, so we were able to accommodate them. So,
Okay.
But we do need a motion to accept these projects.
Good deal. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. That item is approved. Item number 5 is the Pellissippi Parkway Extension Statewide Partnership Program, and Mr. Craig will be the presenter on this one.
Correct. Thank you, Jim. Let's see here. Grab a few things together here. Apologies. This is a project that we're all familiar with regionally, and also a program, TPOt Statewide Partnership Program, that has been sent out statewide. This is the third iteration of statewide partnership? Is that correct? I think so. Round 3. This is the first project that has been awarded funding kind of within the TPO area, and was a collaborative effort between the local partners down in Blount County. It does involve a commitment of a substantial STBG-L, or I'll kind of mix my framing there. TDOT has requested that we go to suffix as opposed to prefix, so starting to kind of introduce that STBG-L as opposed to LSTBG that we always talk about. And we wanted to have a conversation and allow the locals to speak to what that effort has been, in order to be transparent in the use of funding, what they've been able to do to make space within the budget, and kind of approve this similar structure to the way we do for cost overruns, although this isn't really technically a cost overrun. It is a new allocation to a project that in fact is a TDOT project. And what we would be doing is approving that funding so that a modification to the TIP can be processed, as well as then so that the funding can be programmed in the new TIP that we'll talk about in a subsequent agenda item. So again, this is a programming request for that Pellissippi Parkway Extension project. I don't think we need to get into too much about what that one is. Obviously, it has a long history here regionally, and everybody's familiar with that. The current funding that is there is $29.8 million for right-of-way. The estimate for that right-of-way phase, recent TDOT estimate, brings that number up to about $40 million. The previous programming was HPP, which is a federal earmark, in HPP federal funding, and a state match. The agreement between TDOT and the locals on the right-of-way phase moving forward, moving it into fiscal 26. The estimate is about $40 million. That does involve $10 million of TPO STBG revenue, again, that earmark with a slightly revised figure with what's technically available, and then a local match right now is the planning figures that we're seeing there. And it also, the estimate for that overall project has been updated to $350 million. And that is what that modified project, as well as what the anticipated programming in the draft TIP looks like as well. Speaking of that regional commitment, as they were working towards trying to accommodate space within the budgets for this, there have been two substantial previously STBG projects for partners within this group for Blount County, as well as TDOT/Maryville, depending on how you want to frame the Sevierville Road project, have removed about $19 million in federal STBG dollars from our overall program right now. When you look at that, what are we trying to do with our cost overrun bucket? And you are familiar with this kind of providing a summary when we have this. Again, it's not quite a cost overrun, but a similar scenario where we're would be impacting the STBG balance that's there. And if we had add this $10 million on after we had kind of put the revenue back into the project, this would leave us with about $12 million in the current fiscal year of balance. And of course, we're getting ready to end the fiscal year and then also transition into both the next fiscal year and the next TIP, which we've talked about fiscal constraint within that pretty well. And I think we're in a pretty good position to that. Kind of just another way of looking at those overall dollars that you see, that ultimately that balance there at the end is very similar in fiscal 26. And we would have some remaining reserve balance there. And those are kind of the essentials of the numbers. We do recommend approval of that STBG allocation, both to modify the current TIP as well as carry forward that programming into the new TIP. And it's a scenario where TDOT wants to be ready to move forward with right-of-way as soon as they can, and that may or may not happen before the new TIP is finally approved by Federal Highway and able to obligate those funds. The funds may be obligated out of the current TIP, and if that's the case, then we'll kind of adjust that to pull them out of the new TIP, because of course that only hits the books one time. I will pause for a moment, and I know if there are any questions kind of about the overall program or that regional approach, I know the folks from Alcoa, the lead applicant, and Bruce is here able to speak to any questions and maybe provide some additional color if he wishes.
Thank you, Greg.
And I'll kind of go back to the...
Oh, gotcha. Okay, it wasn't on me. All right, well, I was really hoping to lean into the technical pieces, but Craig, you've stolen my thunder pretty well. But I would say, again, on a project that's been going on for over 20 years, there's not a lot of new information that I can bring to the table before the group today. Only to hopefully reiterate the fact that this actually more of a west-east connector as a tool to ultimately start to offload some of that eastbound traffic off of 40 around the 40-75 split still remains as important as it was when it was proposed back in the day. We've been working through this both as a city, a community, and as a TPO board over the last 20 years to try to get this moving forward, and we're very excited about the opportunity to work with our partners both at Blount County, with the city of Maryville, and with the technical staff here at the TPO to try to find a way forward and working with TDOT through the SPP program to try to get this up and going. While that $350 million amount that's listed there as the phase for the total cost for the project is daunting, we'll give you that. But we do know some of the examples locally, such as the Orange Line, that if we don't get the right-of-way at this point in time, that this project may never be able to move forward, which would create some real problems for both the growth and development, not only of Blount County, but also for the metropolitan region. I would just say thank you guys for allowing us to have this process move forward. I know it's a little messy since we're going through this SPP process for the first time. There's a lot for us to learn as we go through that. One of the big pieces is ultimately that we are working through this final stage with TDOT for the contract that's going to be required for us to establish what these placeholder numbers are in actuality. And that's something that will be back before these groups as that gets completed out. But with that said, again, got Kevin Stoltenberg with the City of Maryville. We're happy to answer any questions that we can on this request. And again, appreciate the efforts of the board on this.
So to kind of boil it down, your SPP application, to move this up faster to buy right away, you're asking for $10 million. But you also decommissioned, I don't know if that's a technical term, 2 projects of a roughly $20 million to kind of offset that request.
Absolutely. Again, we know that we can't dominate the requests to the group. There are a lot of projects that are required across our area that have to happen, and there's definitely management on our side of those things that we have control over to try to make sure that it's an equitable request of that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Good deal, great project. One's been around a long time, needs to be done, so I appreciate that. Appreciate y'all coming out. Any further discussion on this matter?
I would just add, I think as staff, we feel comfortable with the request. So, it's not a typical thing that we do, but I think as Craig mentioned, we would like a motion to approve it.
Sounds good. Very, very, very good project. We'd like to support it. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Oh,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, a couple of things about it. Craig had mentioned talking about we're going to try to get started as soon as possible. We currently have identified 110 tracks on this property that we're going to have to buy a portion of somewhat. Survey is complete on that already. Our geotech group is going to go out and look and do some investigations on some of the really steep slopes, whether we're going to end up building walls or we're going to have to adjust the right-of-way to slope those back a little bit more. That's currently happening right now. We are looking at a 3-year period for right-of-way acquisition on this project.
thank you, Troy. Good summary. A lot of tracks there, so a lot of work, but good work.
I had a quick question about so it's in the 10-year plan. We're moving up the right-of-way phase, but it's the construction program as well?
I believe that's 2032, 20.
I think it's 2035
Okay.
for construction. That has not changed, but this would move right away from 2032 to 2026. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good discussion. Seeing that we do have a motion, don't we? It's been a while. Well, I forgot. Okay. Now we have a motion on the floor. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. That item is approved. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is item number 6, the draft fiscal year 26 to 29 Transportation Improvement Program. Looks like Craig's back up on that one.
I'm back up, and we have been through the,
Oh, you moved that.
do not touch. We have been through this quite a few times since the beginning of the year, going through the various process of developing this document. The document has now been initial draft reviewed by TPOt, some tweaks and revisions made, and the revised draft has been both posted to the TPO website and also transmitted to Federal Highway for their review period. So we're really in the home stretch of this. The formal public comment period will be advertised this weekend and start next week, wrapping up before we meet next month for a final recommendation by this body and hopefully adoption by the executive board at the end of next month. Then we'll have the federal approval process on the back end leading to sometime in early 2026. Hopefully kind of the final approval on that document will be active. Real quick, just take a look at the numbers. We actually are in excess of $1 billion of total investments, 32 projects, and then 7 kind of bucket groups of projects that contain a number of projects within them. The split that you see between that, 27 specifically listed TDOT or local projects and 5 TDOT projects. You see kind of the split among those items, roadway, transit, bike and pedestrian, and ITS are over on the grouping side that you'll see there. 4 local project groupings that can, again, contain multiple projects, and 3 TDOT groupings. You see that split between the local projects, 18 individual bike and pedestrian projects within the grouping focused towards that. Clean air and congestion has a few transit items, as well as a lot of those ITS and signal-related projects, some plans and studies, and then preservation, operations, and safety grouping that doesn't have any individual listing right now in it, but is kind of a placeholder if we need to add projects there. Another way of kind of looking at that, the split between the lead agency, where is the funding going? 69% of that, again, speaking of just the scope of the TDOT projects, is always going to be kind of the long end of the lever there. So about $730 million, or 69% of the program, is to TDOT projects and groupings. Local projects, about a quarter of the program, and then public transportation, just in excess of 5% of the program. Another way to look at it is kind of what is the type of the project, regardless of who's the owner of that project. Road widening, about half of the program. New roads, about 19%. Bike and pedestrian, 9%. Roadway operation and maintenance, and kind of going down the line as we look at some of those additional items. And I also, this slide, I'd like to point out that some of those things, that is kind of taking a very binary decision. This is X type of project, because certainly when we've got roadway reconstruction or say a new road, you're also going to have sidewalks or bike and pedestrian facilities maybe within those sorts of things. And certainly safety, that's a very limited thing. That's almost, does it have safety in the title? Because certainly road widenings, new roads, reconstruction certainly is largely addressing safety concerns as well. So that's something to keep in mind there. Was there a question there? Any questions anytime? If not, managed funds, we talk about fiscal constraints. And again, as we spoke a little bit on the previous item, we're in a pretty good position from fiscal balance for our program reserve amounts. I think this, assuming that we kind of don't continue on a rocket ship of cost inflation scenarios, I think we're going to be in a pretty good position to maybe have some interim call or be able to slide some program projects in potentially, or some additional phases pull forward if projects are able to kind of keep their development phases moving forward. I really do appreciate the work that all of our local partners did in proposing the schedules of their projects, and and recognizing that NEPA design, right-of-way construction don't happen in 4 consecutive years. But if something that is able to move forward, then I think we'll be able to pull a subsequent phase in on projects. So it puts us in a pretty good spot. I'm going to let Mike speak a little bit to conformity determination.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here real quick. As with any new plan that the TPO does, either the mobility plan or TIP, we must conduct an air quality conformity determination on the plan. So in this case, with this new TIP, it's actually just included in Appendix E of the document, and it's in what we call short conformity report format, very brief. And this is because all these projects, as everybody here is aware, we just recently adopted the mobility plan in April. So coming out of that, we kind of had this in mind with the TIP update, and so we got everything lined up together so that all the projects in this TIP are directly consistent with how they were modeled in that mobility plan, detailed conformity analysis. So that's, we're able to just show that everything is compliant with that. So we're still subject to the 2008 ozone standard and the 2006 daily PM 2.5 standards. The orange counties are the PM 2.5, and the ones in blue and the bottom map are the 2008 ozone standard. So for conformity for those, we can rely, again, on that previous regional emissions analysis. There's some steps laid out in the federal regs, basically just showing or demonstrating that all the projects are, again, consistent with the scope and time frame that we previously modeled them in. And then we are also still hanging around with this old 1997 8-hour ozone standard. It's called kind of an orphan area. It went away for a while, and then because of a court a lawsuit, EPA had to reinstate conformity for that. Those are the counties, the blue ones plus the green ones in that bottom map, and this has an overlap with the Lakeway area MTPO. For this, it's a very brief conformity analysis, either for even on the mobility plan side of things. We basically just have to document that we're following our interagency consultation and fiscal constraints. So it's a very minimal effort involved, but it's still something we have to document. So that's basically all we have to do, and this has been through our interagency consultation process, and next we'll be doing the public comment review that Craig will talk about and the timeline coming up. So that's all that for that.
So real quick, just the path forward. Again, this process started in January with the call for projects. As we are now, last week, the draft TAP, the revised draft, was submitted to Federal Highway for review. They do a joint review, Federal Highway and FTA. That's a 20-day process. Here we are on September 9th with the technical committee review of the draft tip. And again, that is available in the packet if you want to take a look at that. Particularly for the local agencies that have projects in, I would encourage you to take a look at your projects and make sure I didn't have a typo on something. I think at this point that's been pretty well vetted and we should be in pretty good shape. We'll be back for executive board 30-day, that conformity review and draft TIP public process begins next week, ending before we are back for recommendation of approval at our meetings next month. And then hopefully we're looking at kind of, I'm saying Q1. I think that slide sometimes says January. I'm saying Q1 for review and those fiscal 29 funds to be available. Or I'm sorry, fiscal 26 funds that are programmed in the new tip to be available. And this is, again, a kind of an informational item at this point, just to kind of provide you an update on where we are. But next month, we'll be looking for a recommendation for approval.
Good deal. I'd just like to take a moment of privilege just to thank you guys for what you do. I mean, that's a lot of work there. And I think certainly for Knox County's perspective, as well as every agency here, you guys do great work. Anytime we come with you, try to find a way to solve our problems. So I greatly appreciate that at staff level. So any other questions? All right. Seeing no action needed, we'll move on to item number 7, the Regional Pavement Data Collection Project Update. And Craig, looks like you're up again.
Still me. This is kind of a fun project we have here regionally. I think has been really well received. Just want to provide you an update and also kind of re-advertise an opportunity that's coming up here regionally next month. So pavement management. The essential thing is knowing what the condition of your assets are so that you can manage them in an informed way. And this is kind of just that 101 process if we're looking at what are the steps in the process. And we get to, needs analysis, network definition, to what is the network that you own, clarifying that. That's sometimes a sticky process. The data collection out in the field, and then database management and budget analysis that are and reporting that is provided back from our professional consultant on the process. Training is something that was a focus of the first iteration of this process that goes back to 2020, 2021. And then, you're back to a cyclical fashion of always kind of updating what you've done, the work that's happened in the interim, and what does your network look like now. So that's really kind of just the very high level ability there. And I think then the ability, again, to speak to budgets as they change over time and to be able to make projections of if you're wanting to improve your network, what are the budget impacts, what would it take to be able to leverage up your network to a better condition than what you have now. What does a pavement management system do? Again, it maintains the inventory, it tracks condition. Those systems can anticipate deterioration. So what if we're not expending resources on this? What does our network look like over time? Based on deterioration curves that are in there. And it also provides you a place to track improvements that have been completed, your construction history. So it's a very useful tool for our regional networks. I believe that's an extract from the existing system for Clinton's roadway network there, I believe. The current project is really kind of PMS2. We had, again, PMS1 back in 2021, 22, 23. That went through. This is the second round of that. We've actually expanded the local partners. The first round, we had 5 local partners. Knox County was already participating on their own. So Knox County was folded in this time, and we also picked up the town of Louisville as well as the city of Loudoun, in addition to Knoxville, Oak Ridge, Clinton, Maryville, Blount County that were in the previous effort. About $1.6 million total funding moving through that project. Where we are with the objectives, we have collected the 24 round of data collection as well as 25 for the partners that were kind of slated in the timeline there. Pretty much everything for reporting with the exception of Knox County, and yours is coming soon, Jim. You'll get your delivery of your updated information and summary reports. We have again collected the 25 data collection that happened in July and August. The consultant, Applied Pavement Technologies, is working on processing that data and getting ready to provide updates here by the end of the calendar year for our agency that we're getting collection in 25. Then we'll have another round of data collection next summer for the remaining portion of Knoxville. Their network was split into thirds for collection and then additional third of the network for Knox County. And providing updates. That overall network, the data collection that's done within this project is about 4,000 miles, so it's a lot of roadway driving out there and collecting that data. And we also have a maintenance and preservation networking workshop, which is coming up in a couple slides. We'll talk a little bit more about that. This is just another way of looking at that schedule. Again, kind of green items were done. We've got a preservation workshop coming up on October 25th, and then that 2025, October 21st. And then, again, that next round of collection for next summer with final report and closeout at the end of next calendar year. That workshop is at the Public Works Service Center. Thanks to the City of Knoxville for hosting on that out on Morris Avenue. And again, it's a full-day workshop. Breakfast, snacks, and lunch will be provided, and it is really to look at what is happening in maintenance and preservation activities in the region. What have we been able to move forward with starting to move towards preservation activities? What have been the challenges in that, whether that is the availability of vendors out there in the public, and an opportunity for the professionals that are working in that field to be able to exchange ideas and explore opportunities to expand that process moving forward. And again, Greg Duncan and Mark Gardner, those of you that have been working in the process, they're going to be facilitating that conversation on the 21st. I've sent save the date invites out to you, but do look for an official calendar invite. And again, the primary audience is city and county public works professionals that are interested in this field. It is free of charge, and it is not limited to only participants that are participating in the current 8 partners. So anybody that's interested in this process or learning more, we would encourage you to attend that session. Next steps, again, complete the remainder of the current project through fiscal 26. And then looking towards, again, this is kind of iterative and you continually need to collect your data because your network is, it's always deteriorating as you move forward. That would be a project that is funded in the fiscal constraint of the current TIP for fiscal 26 through 29. And that would anticipate beginning new collection as determined with their sponsors in fiscal 27. And there's the fancy little van that they drive around if you've seen that out there. So. If you have any questions or comments.
That's a good program, Craig. I appreciate it. As you mentioned, the county was doing this on our own, so having your all's help has been greatly beneficial, so we appreciate that. Seeing no other questions or comments, we'll move on to our late ad, which was a presentation from TPOt about their long-range plan. Troy.
All right, let me give one or two real quick updates, so get your pen out. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, if you're interested in the planning grant, we will be having a webinar. If you go to or if you even search or Google TPOt planning grant, there will be a registration area there. Please go on and register to learn more about this program. These are the programs that we've come through, and we'll do the studies. It can be a TSMO study, traffic timing. It can, mobility plans, anything that is a plan that does not include engineering, but right up to the point of engineering. So if a TSMO plan, we can tell you how to time it, but we can't get in the box. But that will be available 2 o'clock tomorrow. There'll be much more information about it, and it is open until Halloween. I highly encourage everyone to look at it. This is kind of a supplement to what a lot of your MPO staff does on your planning with the UPWP. We had talked about the work program and looking for studies. This is just an additional supplement to that to help out. There is a match on it. I believe it's 10%. But we can verify that on the website as well. If you have any questions, let us know. We can make sure that you get that link.
We'll send the link out too. We can do that right after the meeting.
Past that, I wanted to take 30 seconds and brag on your staff for just a second. Mr. Chairman, you were talking about the work with the TIP that they have gone through. Well, so everyone else here knows, we have to have our projects in the TIP as well. We can't just come in and start building and doing stuff and without the permission of the TPO board. And you all have a absolutely fantastic staff. You're not going to find a better staff, I don't think. I would brag on them, and coming from our commissioner down, just stating that this is an incredible team that you all have here. And not that you all take it for granted, but they're really good at their job, and they make my job much easier. So I greatly appreciate your all's efforts, and the experience that you have with these folks is just incredible as well. You don't have a guy that his life work has been working on tips. I mean, it's incredible. And then you've got our transit folks.
I don't know how to take that, Troy.
I mean, it's a very niche type of job, and it's hard to find these people. And we're very blessed that this is able to have these folks. With that, I do want to introduce another former MPO person, but it was from Nashville. We are currently, just like we did the long-range plan here, we have a statewide long-range plan that we have to do for TDOT. Now, it's a different type of plan. It's more of a policy-type plan. But Mary Conley, who was formerly known as, she's a recovering MPO person from Nashville. She's now with Gresham Smith. She is our PM for this project and leading this project for us. With that, I'll let her kick it off and go through kind of some of the efforts we're going to be doing over the next year or so.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Troy. And before I go too far down a rabbit hole, I want to make sure that the tech is working. Can somebody confirm that they can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks for the kind introduction, Troy. My name's Mary Conley, transportation planner with Gresham Smith. And as Troy mentioned, TDOT just recently kicked off an update to their 2055 long-range transportation policy plan called Mobility in Motion. And we're here with you today really on the front end of a multi-year effort. So we won't take too much of your time today, but generally speaking, I'll walk through what's in the existing policy plan, why update it, why do this, right? There's a lot of parallels with MPO work. And then really kind of set the stage for our future year activities and let you know what we have coming down the pike in 2025 and then in future years. Next slide real quick. So this will be familiar to most of the people in the room and on the call, but TDOT is responsible for developing and quote unquote periodically updating a long-range statewide transportation plan. It's a federally required document, different requirements than MPO federal regulations, which are particularly stringent, if you will. But the last time that TDOT updated their plan comprehensively was in 2016. It's a policy level effort. And then there were some high level updates in 2021 to make sure to comply with those MAP 21 and FAST Act transportation performance management requirements. Those are the performance measures requirements and system performance stuff that y'all are privy to. So if you go to TDOT's website right now and you look up that policy plan, really what you'll see is it's comprised of a series of policy papers covering everything from demographic and employment trends, population growth, safety and security, mobility, which touches on things like transportation demand management, your active transportation, and public transportation, as well as freight. And it'll also include a few documents that really outline what the planning process looked like to develop those. Next slide real quick. So really the emphasis of the previous policy plan focused on high-level guiding principles and emphasis areas. There are 7 of them. And as Troy mentioned, and I mentioned a little bit earlier, really our goal for this year is to develop a high-level policy plan with a more comprehensive update beginning in 2026. We anticipate that the guiding principles that you see on the screen here, as well as the ones on the next screen, won't be updated this year, but we'll be conducting a much more robust public engagement effort next year in which we'll have these on the table for kind of review consideration for changes. So just speeding through these real quick. The 7 principles: preserve and manage the existing system. This is your kind of state of good repair, fix it first principle. Support the state's economy. This is really about kind of merging and aligning transportation and infrastructure investments with economic initiatives, tourism initiatives, and what have you, and building those partnerships to make those sound decisions. Maximizing safety and security. Obviously, this is chief of most of the work that we do as transportation planners. So, finding opportunities to reduce injuries and fatalities in all crashes, right, across all modes of transportation. One of the most bread and butter, guiding principles that we typically have is providing for the efficient movement of people and freight, right? On top of safety and security, it's making sure that the individuals, the carriers and travelers on our transportation network are able to move reliably and efficiently. Next slide. 3 more guiding principles of the plan that'll be used in this plan this year. Building partnerships for sustainable and livable communities. What this really gets at is how do we optimize public engagement so that the decisions that are made and the needs and strategies identified reflect, broad public input. And then how, at the state level, can we work closely with other entities, whether it's at the MPO level, the development district level, or at the local level, to better align land use and transportation decisions. That 6th one, protect natural, cultural, and environmental resources. Obviously, we're familiar with this as well, but as we're making transportation and infrastructure investments across the state and region, how can we do that in a way that maintains the integrity of our natural resources? And last but not least, emphasize financial responsibilities. How can we maximize the share of federal dollars that are coming to the state of Tennessee? And then how can we think through, identify, and implement alternative funding strategies to make sure that our projects get delivered when there's the greatest need. Next slide, please. So as we all know, a lot's changed, right, since the 2016 plan, and a lot has changed that addresses a lot of those guiding principles and the recommendations nested within them. So last plan done in 2016, it was a 2045 plan at that point, and we want to maintain that 20-year required horizon. So we're going through to 2055. As you know, the bipartisan infrastructure law at the federal level was passed in 2021, and we're really on the back end of that. But there's been great planning work and investments done across the state that ought to and should be reflected in the new planning effort. At the statewide level, the TMA was passed in 2023, and then the 10-year project plan has been moving forward since then. The project delivery network internal to TDOT has really kind of optimized their project delivery and delivering projects on time in a much more collaborative and coordinated way. And then also, there's been organizational changes at the department that not only through this planning process can we reflect, but we can also build relationships across the department, across our MPO partners, development district partners, RPO partners, and things of that nature. Next slide. So what do we want to make sure to kind of reflect, right, in the policy plan? Obviously, I just said those department-wide changes and priorities. By going through this planning process, it really provides an opportunity to coordinate and collaborate with MPOs, development districts, and RPOs. We do have confirmed meeting with MPO staff. I don't know if it's next week or the week after, to really get the MPO's perspective on the regional needs, challenges, and the good stuff going on over there. And then how can we provide best practices research and align the 10-year project plan and the prioritization mechanisms that you see on the right side of the screen right there with the planning products that are developed within the planning division. Next slide real quick. So we have a few technical slides. I'll breeze through these real quick, but it's really just to tell everybody, hey, things change, and this is why planning is an inherently iterative process that we want to make sure that we're reflecting in our plans and policies. So looking at population growth through 2055, this is primarily, or at least in Region 1, comes from the UTK Boyd Center. And if you're looking in Region 4, for some reason, those are from Tennessee ECD and some work they're doing there. But we really see Knox and Loudoun County showing up as some of those high growth areas in Region 1, with some declines when you get to the more rural areas and to the Kentucky border. So how can we best accommodate the growth going on in those high growth counties? Next slide. When looking at crashes and safety and security, how do we align those high growth areas and better understand behavioral reasons behind crashes, where crash densities might be more significant? And we see that in Sevier County and Blount County, right? So really investigating that more, better understanding the topographical concerns, or maybe the tourism drivers or what have you that might be contributing to that. Next slide. And these will be really quick, so apologies to whoever's clicking through the slides. But obviously, doing a transportation plan and a policy plan, there's still some technical work that goes into that. So better understanding where your traffic bottlenecks are. Obviously, we understand I-40 and then I-75 right there through Knoxville as pretty significant bottlenecks across the state. Next slide. And then what does that look like in terms of freight growth and commodity flows, right? We obviously still see I-40, I-81 popping up as pretty significant freight corridors across the state. Next slide. And then when you're looking at publicly available data, what that growth looks like, right? Where do we see that freight tonnage growth and that commodity growth across the state into the future? We really see it in two areas, right? We see it out in West Tennessee, in Memphis, and then we really see it in East Tennessee, starting at about Knoxville and then heading eastward towards that Tri-Cities up I-81. Next slide. So those are just some of the few things that we've been working on. And as Troy mentioned, I really just wanted to set the stage here today. Some of the upcoming activities that we have, as I mentioned, we're conducting a series of MPO one-on-one sessions to better understand what y'all's regional needs and challenges are, and also to better understand all of the great planning work that's going on at that MPO regional level that we ought to reflect in the work that's being done at the statewide level. So the policy plan element of this, we can kind of consider this the phase one, if you will. That'll be updated by the end of the year with a public comment period in that November-ish timeframe. And really that larger update is planned for 2026, where we anticipate taking a more robust and detailed technical analysis into the needs and challenges, and then really create a plan that's public facing, that takes on the engagement and input from the public in that next year phase 2 effort. So with that, I'll stop talking, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. Very informative.
Thanks so much.
Catherine Baldwin has a question.
So this is obviously a long look that TDOT is taking of the state in general and our region in particular. And our section of I-40, I think, what is it, from Watt Road to Paper Mill, has the highest ADT in the state. Also, your movement of freight into the Tri-Cities area is shown to pick up at that point to take on I-81 and I-75. And we know that we've been briefed on choice lanes, which are being proposed to accommodate the growth of traffic. But I don't hear TDOT ever talking about new alignments. And this has been a topic that we've taken up just conversationally in this body. But somebody brought up the orange route a few minutes ago. I think it was Bruce Applegate. And the orange route was canned about 2005, 4. And the ADT proposed for the orange route was placed on local and state roads. And at this point in time, that seems to not be working, just to be kind of flippant about it. I think that it is time that TDOT takes a more broader view of traffic circulation. Mr. Applegate was correct in that the orange route is no longer feasible because of the amount of construction that has occurred in the, at that time, proposed right-of-way. Also, any new alignments are going to have to avoid all the activities on the DOE reserve in and around the Oak Ridge area. Can you speak to that at all and address if there is any consideration for new alignments to propose a circumferential route between I-40, I-75, and I-75 North?
Let me start before she jumps in. Thanks for asking the easy question, Catherine. So next month.
Somebody's got to do it.
You set me up for next month. Next month, Dexter and friends should be here to discuss more what's going on with the Pell and the 75 widening and the 40 study that we're looking at there. Mary's stuff's not going to be that in-depth yet. So that's a teaser for next month. And he better show up now that I told him y'all were coming. But we are looking at all the options, because whether it's a choice lane or the new alignments or the widenings or all the above. That's all being looked at in our Pell right now, or our planning and environmental linkage study that we're working on. With that, Mary, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that as far as how this plan would actually work along something that detailed.
Yeah, so the only thing I'll add is the effort this year is really focused on the policy level. We do have a charge to reflect the planning and environmental linkages work that's being done, but the plan this year is largely policy level.
It's a good non-answer for me. I mean, it's coming, so I can tell you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, everybody. Any other further questions about that? Seeing none, we will move on. Any other, let's see, number 9, other business.
Yeah, just real quick, the executive board will be meeting September 24th at 9 a.m. And then we will be having technical committee executive board in October. So the next technical committee is October 14th. We'll really need you to come because that's the adoption of the TIP. The only other news is today is Dallas's birthday, so be sure to wish him a birthday when on the way out.
Very good. Happy birthday, Dallas.
I would like to add that next month the meeting will be in the large assembly room. Just FYI.
Oh, change of venue. Last item on the agenda is number 10 is public comment. Anyone here from the public would like to address the board? Either anybody online by chance? No? Seeing none? Well, our favorite item is item 11 is adjournment. Can I have a motion? All right, we are adjourned.